Oh my god, no. Oh, get fucking wrecked the Mundo, son! I was lucky enough to get selected to receive a Battlefield 5 alpha code in order to get my hands on the game in this early build that features the snowy Narvik map with both Conquest, which thankfully is reverted back to the Ticket Bleed model that was in games prior to Battlefield 1 Supercalifragilisticexpial atrocious Conquest scoring model, and Grand Operations, which is just fancier sounding mode than the previous highlight mode in Battlefield 1. Overall, the game feels much better than Battlefield 1, and that's probably due to the way that the movement mechanics and gunfights have been reworked. No more RNG bullet bullshit, try saying that 5 times fast. As far as I can tell, this combined with the reduced health regen means that time to kill is slightly faster than in previous games. The Assault class has automatic rifles and SMGs, the Medic class has semi-automatic rifles and SMGs, the Support class has light and medium machine guns, and the Scout class has a sniper rifle. Since the Medics have the second best weapon in the alpha with the MP40, the Assault's STG-44 is clearly the best, along with the aforementioned health regen of only up to 60% unless you find a Medic, and the Medic's ability to revive everyone and not just squad mates, more on that later. It's by far and away the best class in the game. So class balance needs to be reworked here a little bit. Even though there is a very quick ADS time for the KAR sniper, as you can see here. Oh, that was a quick scope right there.
Oh, you gotta be joking.
Yikes. It's still pretty weak overall for anything but headshots. However, the worst weapon has to go to the MG34 medium machine gun, which you cannot ADS unless the bipod is deployed, which is a terrible fucking idea that promotes camping or lying prone in the middle of a field somewhere. This is the only weapon during the alpha that I rarely use because even when defending in operations, it wasn't strong enough time to kill wise to warrant not being able to run around with it. Even though you couldn't customize your weapon in this alpha, I am hoping that based on the Assault class Irma MP having a reflex sight, that DICE goes away from the dumbass variant idea from Battlefield 1 because there's much more source material to pull from this time around. Overall, the design of this game is much more squad focused and team oriented than in the past, with the health regen changes that I said earlier, and starting with much less ammo, necessitating those infamous support players to actually drop some fucking ammo, which can definitely be a chore at times. Anderson, give me some ammo! Arneson, give me some ammo, you fuck! Thank you, Jesus Christ. Not to worry though, if you get squad mates that are complete ass clowns, there are health and ammo stations at objectives on the map, which really works better in Conquest than in Operations due to the attacking defending nature. So if you run into some non-team playing twat waffles, you can at least help yourself like a fat guy at a buffet. There's also the squad revive mechanism whereby any player can rev like a car engine someone that's in his squad regardless of your current class, and having squad leaders being able to call in rewards for teamwork making the dream work like a B1 rocket. These are all good things for me, as Battlefield is a game designed with squads in mind because not one player can impact a match if you're playing 32v32, but an entire squad can definitely impact the match if they work together, and they're going back to the 4-player squad model since that number is actually divisible by 32, unlike 5 in the previous couple of Battlefield games, which is kind of a head scratcher. One of the main issues in the alpha is that you're not able to leave and join new squads, which is a bug that has to be fixed before the game launches, especially with this renewed squad and team focus, but more on bugs later. Can I get in a different fucking squad, please?
No, you can't. That feature doesn't fucking work.
God, I'm in a 2-man fucking squad, bro. It's so fucking dumb. Look at how many 1-man squads there are. Like, this is the dumbest shit fucking going, man. There are some negative side effects to the health regen and lack of starting ammo, along with the fact that 3D spotting is almost entirely removed unless you're suppressing your enemy, which takes up that precious ammo, so there's no reason to shoot at or near somebody unless you're trying to hit the target, or if you're using a particular beepity-bop on the recon class. The game plays slower than previous Battlefield games. It's good that enemy icons appear when you're looking directly at and ADSing a target, and I do like the ability to spot a particular area of the map, such that you can tell teammates where the enemies are, even if they aren't in your line of sight, or to tell teammates, hey, go to this point right here. But this means that you need to pay less attention to the minimap where those Doritos won't show up, and more time scanning the area in front of you, which is kind of weird because normally the minimap is where all of this good information about what's going on that's not in your direct vicinity lies. And it also made enemies seem like they blended into the map more, especially considering the snow falling and the uniforms or lack thereof that players are wearing. Where the fuck was this guy? Where the fuck was he, man? It's so hard to see enemies in this game sometimes. The map itself is a pretty big one, and with most Battlefield games, it takes a while to get used to where the action congregates on the map for conquest, and there seems to be two distinct areas. The waterfront region by the B and D objectives, and the town spots where the A, C, and E objectives are, as you could clearly see the distinct lanes from the overhead map view. I do like how the map has day and night flavors during grand operations to drive home the fact that this is an epic multi-day mode. The map plays better than Sinai Desert from Battlefield 1's beta, but as we've seen with Battlefield 4's Siege of Shanghai, and Battlefield Hardline with Dust Bowl and Downtown, it seems that DICE aren't really great at picking maps for a beta for testing out their games. Speaking of the overhead map view, I do like that there is an option to have either the tabletop spawn view, which I really didn't like in the previous game, or the over-the-shoulder squad spawn view so that finally you could see what the fuck you're about to spawn into. However, there's way too much time for both the transitions between the two views and when you click and finally end up spawning on someone. It needs to be sped up in both cases. Also, a new GUI shit. I hate the song and dance of dying, then zooming in on your killer for a few seconds, and then being teleported back to your bleeding out body in order to call for help. Don't teleport my point of view back to where I am, continue following the cum dumpster that actually killed me, but give me the option to slow the bleeding, almost like the opposite of how the skip revive screen works in Battlefield 1, where you continue to track the enemy, and you could still hold down the button to slow down the bleed out. I don't need to look around and see which douche canoes on my team are just running past me instead of actually trying to help a motherfucker out. Come on, dude, revive me. One of you fucks, please. The new fortification system where you build some cover on parts of the map where it would otherwise be wide open to being shot from all angles is much more useful on grand operations where the defense has time to set up, whereas on conquest, I'd rather not be standing still to easily get picked off by a sniper, and I fear just like the lack of health and supplies in the game, it might lead to more camping instead of generally playing the game more strategic and using flank routes now that you could just hide behind some fucking sandbags. The fact that the medic revive and squad revive have much longer animations than in the previous game, along with an actual animation for picking up supplies instead of just having your ammo and health count go up automatically, means you have to make more deliberate moves instead of running around aimlessly like a chicken with your head cut off. I do like some of the other cool animations, like me holding onto a ledge as I'm falling here, but I don't like how your character momentum can kind of stop completely, like after hopping out a window or if you're jumping down from a cliff, which is almost as bad as when it happens in PUBG. The graphics look nice. I'm playing this on low, actually, so it probably looks even nicer on somebody who's got a better PC. And I just dropped through the map there? What the fuck? Of course, since it's an alpha, there are bugs, despite the fact that the servers actually felt pretty good in terms of not having too much lag and really good hit detection. The most infuriating of which is the fact that this game is so team and squad dependent, yet the squad leave and join feature has been disabled because there were issues with it. Whenever I was in a squad by myself after teammates had eventually left the server, I would just leave the server too and then rejoin the same exact one in order to actually get put in a fucking squad by myself. I don't know if the mid-round balancer wasn't enabled for this build, but I felt like most operations games were more lopsided than Angelina Jolie's tits, where I'd either get steamrolled or push an enemy's shit, but Conquest was more evenly balanced. There's also this weird graphical glitch where my HUD went away mid-life until I respawn, and of course, revive and sliding bugs are still a thing because thank God for the Frostbite engine. Well, that's a new one. What the fuck? What is going on here? Brings a whole new meaning to the term sharking. So now that I've told you my thoughts on actually playing the game, let's talk about the elephant in the room here. This game doesn't seem like a World War II shooter. And for me, that's actually a good thing. I am sick and fucking tired of playing the same dark, drab, dreary, washed out color palette in the same map locations that I've played countless fucking times now. I can understand that that is what some people wanted with this game, and DICE went a different route with highlighting lesser known battles and events of the war, which will keep the setting fresh instead of doing the stale Call of Duty World War II thing of playing the D-Day mission for the 1000th time. I just hope people realize that this isn't meant to be a full representation of World War II, but instead to highlight parts of the war that never get as much attention as Saving Private Ryan or Band of Brothers or the normal missions on the Western Front we've all played ad nauseum in the game's past. This game, to me, especially with the characters and the coloration of the HUD, looks much more like a sequel to Battlefield Bad Company 2 with World War II weapons than, say, an actual World War II Battlefield game. And if DICE had announced Bad Company 3 instead of a World War II, but the lesser known shit, they would have staved off the complaints from fuck trumpets about having women on the cover and being in the trailer, masquerading masquerading their concerns as historical accuracy when some of it is just toxic masculinity, and given the backlash thus far against Black Ops 4, they would have easily been able to defeat their biggest competition, similar to what happened with Battlefield 1 and Infinite Warfare in terms of sales. Yes, Battlefield 1 sold better than Infinite Warfare. I mean, they incorporated the campaign character names from Bad Company into the squad names after you get past Z, so it only seems natural that they should have chose that route. It would have been easier for gamers to swallow the plethora of character customization for those that like to play dress up in an FPS, especially since these aren't the uniformed soldiers we're accustomed to seeing in World War II action. For me, immersion is more about the map, the sounds, and the weaponry than the actual characters in the game, as I can't see my own soldier in an FPS, and I really don't give a flying fuck what the other soldiers look like. I'm too busy trying to kill those scrotum sniffers. And if having cosmetic items and battle packs means I don't have to pay for DLC maps and weapons, then that's even better for me than being more, quote, authentic with less customization. If we really wanted to go full-on historical accuracy, then once out of every 100,000 or so medic spawns, one lucky random person would get to be a female character to have a better representation of the actual ratio, and every match, one squad at random, and only the players in that squad would be chosen to be an all-black or all-Asian or all-Hispanic unit, since segregation was a thing in World War II. But here's the crazy thing. People would go fucking nuts if they were selected to be part of those random events, because they'd be different than all the other generic soldiers, similar to what happens when an Easter egg animation is triggered in Battlefield game when a gun reloads and you get this crazy cool flippy doodah shit. This isn't an inclusivity or a politics pushing decision, in my opinion, as much as it's a money decision. People get more invested in games where they can make their character more like the avatar they want to show off to the world, and character customization is something that the Battlefield community has been clamoring about for several fucking games now. Anyways, tangent aside, to recap, I enjoy how the gunfights are in this game, along with it being much more squad focused, actions being much more deliberate versus running around aimlessly, and the game looks and feels amazing, but I don't like that this game is a bit more slower paced than previous titles, and the death screen could use a rework, along with hopefully fixing the squad glitches. But overall, it's an improvement from Battlefield 1, not yet up to par with 4 or Hardline. Did you guys get to play it, and what do you think? I've been Schwanz27, out like Germany in the World Cup. Until next time. Alright, please have HUD this time. Yes! Alright, so they did destroy one of the objectives, which I couldn't tell, because I had no fucking HUD. Welcome to the Alpha, peeps.